Hi everyone, so I haven't done a video for about 3 months now or so. I'm really sorry about that, guys. Been very busy, and unfortunately in February my mum passed away. Thank you very much to everyone who's sent me loads of nice messages on Instagram and Facebook. I really appreciate it. I just wanted to do a video today talking about dead pointe shoes and how you can tell when your pointe shoes are dead, because believe it or not, so many of you don't actually know when your shoes are dying or actually, like, you know, gone well past it. When I'm personally fitting people, the most common thing that I come across is, of course, not just dancers that are in the wrong shoes, but the most other common thing is dancers who are actually still dancing in their dead shoes. Now, I think in all of our dancing lives we're all kind of guilty for doing this, and we don't realise we're doing it. So don't think that I'm judging you when I see you and you're still in dead shoes. It's actually very common, and even I've been in dead shoes myself, but even still now there are times where I think that I can get a few more weeks out of a pair and I don't actually realise how dead they are. The best way to see how dead your shoes are is when you're trying on new shoes, to bring your old shoes along, put one of the new shoes on one foot and one of your dead shoes on the other foot. My goodness, you will be able to see the difference and just how dead your shoes were. Now, first of all, it's a good idea if you could ask your teacher if your shoes are dead, if you're not sure. But unfortunately, there are teachers that don't realise when a shoe is actually dead. Now, this could be down to the fact that every brand of shoe is quite different, and also because maybe, they just aren't sure. Their job as a teacher is to teach you, they can't be on the lookout for dead shoes all the time. And of course, each dancer is so different, their strength varies. And some people like a softer shoe than others. So sometimes if you really like a softer shank, or, you've got to have a softer shank for something, then it can be even more tricky to know if your shoe is dead. Now, I'm going to talk about the parts of the shoe that die and how everyone, makes their shoe die different. First of all, I've just got some dead shoes here of my own. Now, most dancers will break the shank first, which is the back here. It will leave that snap actually across the arch, and sometimes it just goes really bendy, or it goes very, very bendy like this, as you can see. I mean, just because a shoe that goes that bendy doesn't always mean it's dead, by the way, because some shoes are designed to be that soft. So it's being able to tell when your shoe is actually gone. And another way they actually kill shoes is the box goes to mush. Can you see this? That is super squishy. Now, a box that is that squishy has lost all its support. It's where the paste has eroded. Excuse my bad manicure, it needs doing. As you can see, just from the side on as well, it's so mushy. Now, that shoe has no support. That is not going to, give you any support around the front of the foot. You're not going to feel lifted out of the shoe. You're going to be sinking. It's very dangerous. Now, you should be able to feel when that happens, because you will feel like you're sinking in the shoe, and you might get big toe pain, or generally if you're doing, say, turns or something, you might feel that you're just, every time you're stepping out on that shoe, that you're not lifted out of the shoe at all. Now, if you're a very strong dancer, if you have high arches, very strong feet, or hyperextended, these are some of the reasons why a dancer would break the shank. But also the shank may snap because you're not in the right shoe. You could be in a shoe that is too strong, even, that isn't bearing the weight correctly and just snaps, which you can see another video of mine about. Or sometimes the shank is just too soft, and it just dies very quickly because of the shoe can't support you, basically. So that's typically where shoes break. Now, also the platform, inside you'll see the platform. Just about see it there. Now, you can't tell by looking at it, okay? You're going to be able to tell if your platform is dying or dead when you're on point in the shoe, because generally it will look fine, I mean, of course it'll get dirty and stuff, but generally it's when you're on point and you will feel like your toes are scraping across the ground, basically. Or you may find that there's a certain spot that goes softer than others, which can be in different areas depending on the dancer. When the platform goes mushy, unfortunately, there's not much you can do about it because it's past the shellac and the glue stage really. I mean, if it's like a little bit mushy and it's been a couple of weeks, you may be able to save your shoe with some shellac or glue. Now you can watch a video on my YouTube channel about using shellac and glue for your pointe shoes and how to extend the life, which I recommend doing. However, please be aware that it does depend on your strength and how many times you're wearing the shoes per week. If you can actually give them a bit more life, you know, it's all about trial and error really. I personally like to shellac mine I'd say about 3 weeks in or so. So yeah, that's another thing. So I'm just going to go through now some of my own personal shoes and where I've broken them. This pair in particular, like I mentioned, we've got the very mushy box. Now, for me, this is probably because the shoe was a little bit wide. I was experimenting with special orders, and typically sometimes you will buy a width and during your fitting, or you know, if you're getting a special order, you'll think that that's the correct width because the shoe is new, but you've got to remember that the shoe does expand with wear across the width here. So although this is a 2X, for example, although a 2X feels great on me when they're new, when they of course get worn in, they start to get more wider here and causes my foot to sink. But then sometimes I'll try on the 1X and think, oh, they're too tight, you know. But it's always best to go with a very snug fit, especially in a Grishko, because that's how they're meant to fit. And of course, when they get wide, that's when you're going to get problems because you're just going to sink. So that's a reason why my box probably went mushy in this pair. Another reason for the box to go mushy is because of the sweat of your feet. Now, so many dancers keep storing their padding in their shoes after wear, which is a no-no. The padding, of course, gets sweaty from your feet. If you pull it in the shoe, it's just going to destroy the paste in the box. So it's very important to store your toe pads and any other padding that you use outside of the shoe after class. Another top tip is to keep your pointe shoes in a mesh shoe bag. This allows the air to radiate around the shoes, making sure they have time to dry out in your dance bag. Be sure not to store your shoes near any water or anything, other liquids, or anything else sweaty, like, you know, worn dancewear, for example. And as soon as you get home, I can't stress to you how important it is to get your shoes out of your actual dance bag and to either hang them up on the back of the door or just stand them up to dry with the shoes out, so you know they're singular like this. Make sure it's not near a radiator or anything hot, preferably somewhere cool and dark if you can, or just your bedroom on the back of the door is usually fine. This really helps to dry out the shoes, and it's also important to get enough hours for the shoes to dry. So if you come out, say if you've done an hour class, you come out, you get your shoes to dry, but then the next day you've got another hour class, you may find that you're going through shoes quicker. Now, it's important if you're doing pointe on a regular basis that you maybe rotate shoes. This is what I personally do. So if you're strong as well, if you're a strong dancer, again, I recommend rotating shoes. This basically means having 2 pairs or so on the go at the same time so that each pair gets an appropriate time to dry out. So, you know, you could wear one pair one day and then a few days later that pair's still having time to dry because you're wearing the other shoes that you've got. Now, of course, that can be expensive if you're new to pointe. So if you're new to pointe, you're generally not on pointe that long anyways. You're on there like 15 minutes a week, half an hour a week. You know, it's no big deal. But if you are on pointe often, I definitely recommend rotating shoes. So another, just going to go through my shoes again. So that's mushy box. The shank has gone fairly soft, but it's not terrible. I mean, it's pretty bad around here. It's broken quite low. Now that's another thing you want to watch out for, is where your shank breaks, because this can be good indication for what shoes you may need to go for next time. And it always helps to bring your old shoes along to the fitting so your fitter can have a feel of your shoe to see what you might benefit from for your next pair. And that should also save you money, because then each time you're getting put into a different pair. I mean, of course, some dancers can stay with the same shoe, but it just helps if you're having any problems or going through shoes too quickly. Let's go on to another pair. Now, I love the way that I've wrote dead in this pair. if you can see that. Just helps me if I've got quite a few pairs on the go to write in them to let me know when they're gone. This pair again is a little bit squishy here, not so much the platform. I mean it's typically going to happen on the front of the vamp anyway, but when it goes really squishy, that's when, you know, it's unlikely you're going to save it with shellac. You might, if it's just a little bit, then you might be able to save it. Now the shank in this pair is super bendy, like literally, like if I feel that even with my hands, I know that that's really gone. So that's that pair there. This pair here is, well, the shank again, super bendy. I just wanted to go through, like, you know, some common shoes. Now this pair has broken low, especially in the demi point. Now this could signal that you've perhaps gone too soft in the shank, or again it could be down to the shoe itself. So if you find that you're killing the box and the platform of your shank quickly, that's usually an indication that it could be technique. You could be not pulling up out of your shoes enough. It can be down to the fact that the shoe might be too wide, or it might be too long in length, or it might be a combination of both. If you're sitting in your pointe shoes, your teacher should be able to see that when she watches you on pointe. That can be another common problem for dancers that are killing the box very quick. But also it can just be a sign of, you know, if you're strong, or if you're in the pointe shoes a lot, because if you're in them, say, a couple of hours a day, the same pair, they are going to get quickly destroyed in the actual pace of the box here. If you're going through shanks quickly, that can be down to either the shank is too strong for you and it can't bear the weight and it just snaps, or it can be a sign that you are very strong and you need maybe a harder shank, or you need to 3/4 your shanks. Now 3/4 shanks are not suitable for everybody, so please always check with your dance teacher first. It's commonly done by professionals as well, where it typically means, I have got a video on this channel actually to watch, but where your arches, you mark with a pen and then you snip it. If you want to do it by hand, I recommend practicing on an old pair first, or you can get them made with 3/4 shanks, or some actually come already with 3/4 shanks. You can also do half shanks, but honestly I've never come across anyone yet that needs a half shank, and the only time I've ever seen it is in certain professional dancers will actually have a half shank. Those you need to be incredibly strong to wear shoes that way. I also forgot to mention that in hot weather you may find that you go through shoes faster. If your dance studio hasn't got air conditioning, or if it's quite a stuffy studio, these are also things that can affect how sweaty your feet get during class, and of course therefore how much faster you're going to get through a pair of shoes. I also wanted to mention that the general lifespan of a pointe shoe is around 9 hours. That's just a guideline really. It does depend on a variety of factors: your strength, how long you're wearing the shoes for, your technique, you know, depends on if you're wearing a shoe for performance. There's all these little factors that come into play. So it is important to not go by a guideline, but go by your own personal experiences. So just be sure, you know, to give your shoes a check over, maybe after every class, for example, just to see. You may also feel that you're dancing and all of a sudden that one of the shoe breaks but the other one doesn't. That is also quite common, unfortunately. If you're doing a performance, make sure that you've got a backup pair that is broken in. Again, this is why it's quite cool to have shoes in rotation, because you've always got a pair handy that's broken in and ready to go. This is quite good for those of you that are doing auditions, those of you that have got, you know, performances coming up. Definitely bear that in mind, because that is something that I personally, as a pointe shoe fitter, come across where teachers aren't actually telling their students you know, this vital information. And of course some dancers therefore then contact me and say like, oh no, you know, my shoes have died, I didn't have a backup pair, have you got any? And then they haven't got much time to break the shoes in. They can try to order a softer shank to get them broken in more fast, but of course it depends on the box as well, and it's quite tricky, so always make sure you've got a backup pair. Well, I hope this video has helped some of you guys to understand about dead shoes. If you have any questions, feel free to drop a comment below, or you can message me on my fan page, which is straight to the point. If you just do a search, it should come up. Also got all my links down below in the box. And also remember that I fit Pointe Shoes and I'm a Grishko Stockist. I travel all around the UK fitting shoes. So if you like a fitting with me, just drop me an email and we'll go from there. Thanks for watching. Bye.